Television, transforming lives.
As weary taxpayers continue to decry poor services, the county's audit report shows that a whopping 35 billion Kenyan shillings have been looted over the years. Unluckily, the new sheriffs in town have hardly sealed the loopholes. And today we ask the hard question, who is sleeping on the job? Later on, we analyze the restructuring of government. The president has undone several policies put up by his predecessor, former President Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, is this a move to send a message that his former boss got things wrong? And finally, in the mid-morning pack show, mixed reactions following Fafi MP's outburst on presidential term limits. Is it a testing of the waters or a mere publicity stunt by a rogue MP? Welcome to the mid-morning pack show, right here on your favorite channel, MBCI TV. My name is Mangicho Mola, and we are glad that you found time to be with us. And as usual in this particular show, I have my co-host, Paul Kagi. How are you, Paul Kagi, on the other side?
Very fine, Mangicho. How is your morning?
Wow, it's very nice, very interesting, and ready for today's show. We want to unpack some of these subjects or some of these aspects that we've already talked about.
Right. Good morning and welcome once again to the mid-morning pack on MBCI TV. My name is Paul Kagi, and as usual, we are going to give you a right on what is happening in our country regarding some social, economic, or even political issues. And we want you to participate in our program this morning. Every time when we are here, we give you a chance to be able to give your feedback, be it on SMS, FB, or YouTube. Our SMS number 23814, and we are live on MBCI TV, FB, and YouTube account MBCI TV Official. Welcome about.
Welcome, and so that you can feel very comfortable to interact with us even as we continue with today's discussion, the question that we are asking you is, are you satisfied or have you been able to see any changes as far as your county is concerned? Are there any positive changes as far as your county is concerned? You can feel free to share with us some of your feedback, and we'll be glad, even as we continue with our discussion, to share some of your perspectives on the same during this particular conversation. And today we have brought a consultant in governance and also matters of leadership, that is Dr. Peter Mbaya, consultant in matters governance and leadership, to help us to be able to shed some light on some of the key issues that we've talked about. And karibu sana daktari, pleasure to have you today.
Thank you so much.
It's been quite a while.
No, quite really. Not so much. Well, just a few weeks ago.
What have you been up to?
Well, quite a number of things.
Yes.
We thank God. We've been checking to see how the new governments, both national and county governments, are going on. In our leadership and governance outlook, we have been watching to see what is happening. And but the most important thing, I've been saying this. Yes. Governments need time to settle. You cannot begin checking. It's okay, of course, to look at the everyday measures that's happening, but you need to give time.
Although someone might actually say that the word time is opaque.
we give them 100 days. 100 days. Within 100 days.
And now we are past 50.
No, yeah, the next 50 will be good enough. Okay. You'll have established, for example.
So going by the first 50 that have already elapsed,
yes,
you're positive.
Look at that. Going by the 50, let's start with the national government. Okay. Quite a number of policies. What I would call simple administrative actions that do not need maybe a long process of going to parliament, for example, that don't need a lot of things. That can be done to show direction. Okay. You'll be able to see, right from even the first day, day one, day two, you'll be able to see the kind of measures the president is making, the direction, the trajectory, the general direction is going to take. If you look like things like subsidy, the first day said no. Done. The first day, actually, the first day he was sworn in on the 13th. The 14th, I mean, it was removed. But they said, excuse me, this is it. Let's not go on into funding consumption. It's about production. So hold on. Then he talks about fertilizer. It comes. He talks about issues like the judiciary. The issue of the addition of judiciary fund, and also the swearing in. Now, that's a difference.
Actually, Dr. we'll be coming up to that.
Yeah. So in short,
so that we don't jump the gun.
Yeah.
The first thing that I want us to look at, because this is something that has actually elicited a lot of reactions. That 5 billion Kenya shillings lost in our counties in relation to ghost workers. How is this even possible, Daktari, bearing in mind all the systems that have been put into place to curb some of these evil?
The passion by which I do what I do these days about capacity building, training and capacity building in both county governments and national governments with various organizations is because of my background. Having studied leadership, governance, political science and all that, and then practiced, I can tell you today, in a nutshell, there is some leak in the county governments.
Okay.
Unfortunately, there has been some additional people who are normally absorbed in the county governments and the national governments without passing through the law. And I want to say that in summary. So I want to confirm today, this is things we have seen. These are things we spoke about, even when we were actively involved in the county governments, that unfortunately there are some people, some governors may not be involved, but there are some people. So if you look at the payroll, the way it was 2013, when county government started, and today, not all who are in the payroll passed through the process of them being in the payroll. I want to see this because that's what we normally do. We first of all recommend, we first of all speak about, analyze the problem. In leadership, you must diagnose properly and say this is a problem. Then immediately you give a solution. So the problem is in the county governments, it didn't come to me as a shock because I must repeat here and say again, and if you look at all the audit reports done by the first governors, the second governors, you'll see there were issues. Now the problem is whether they were able to deal with the issues. Because it happened during the first term of governors in the whole country. The second term, what I can tell you, yes, there is a problem on issues about staff in the county government.
And Daktari, as you say that maybe not all governors may be to blame, so where are you putting the blame to?
What happens? Systems and structures. The systems and structures are very weak. Remember, there is one organization called the County Public Service Board in all the 47 counties.
Yes.
And it is also regulated by the law. There is what the law says before you put something in the payroll. So my question is very simple. Or rather, I'm now addressing especially the new 26 governors. The new 26 governors. It's very simple. If you ask me, Public Service Board, bring all your minutes from 2013. Because there are people, of course, jobs were advertised, they went through the interview, and they were absorbed in the payroll. But what I'm saying, and I'm saying this very painfully, because I would hate to see devolution fail. We have worked so hard for devolution, we would hate to see it fail through seepage, leakage, this kind of a thing. The people who are saying they are doing audit, please, everybody does the audit. The question is, what do you do with the audit report? And I'm saying this again, you're asking a very good question. So who is to blame will be known when the boards come. They give a summary of the people who went through the board regularly by the law, and they were adopted and were put in the payroll. Now, whoever else got in the payroll without going through the process in the law, that is it is very simple. They ask who did this. Is that simple? But I want to warn this. If this thing continues after every term of governors, now we're in the third governors, unfortunately, as we go on, in another 10 years, you'll have so many workers who have been gotten into the payroll, and all the money will go to pay them.
Dr. Before I bring Kagi, I know you also want to shoot a question, because you've been involved in county governments, even as early as maybe 2013, when they were being established. So are you tracing this particular problem back to 2013, or maybe 2017, or...
Unfortunately, and I'm saying this generally, because we have done a lot of studies across the country, unfortunately, this is a problem that started from 2013. There are people who have been gotten into payrolls of county governments without passing through the procedure. I want to say that 10 times because we want to save this country. Now, the problem is, that is a problem, and I want to say again, the solution is, first of all, audit to be done. But unfortunately, audits are being done, are normally done. The first governors will tell you they did audits. Sure. Second governors did audits. What they do with the audits is the biggest problem. So one, there's a problem of who put the names of people who were not supposed to be put in the payroll, but there's also the problem of what happened when they were found to be there. Again, political issues come up. You're going to sack people. What's going to be the political implication? Now, that is now where the problem is. And before you know it, Mogicho, you'll discover that all the money coming from the national government, because once somebody is in payroll, you must pay them first before you pay development. Now, that's what is going to be a big problem going forward.
Kagi, maybe you want to put something as far as this particular subject is concerned, because what is still making me to actually wonder is how is it that over all these years, nobody, not even one person, has been brought to book as far as this particular problem is concerned.
Thank you. I think one thing I know, Dr. you are very much aware of this, is to understand in the county when it comes to those who are employed. Are they employed per the contract? Are they employed on permanent basis? Or are they casuals? When we're talking about these three groups, who are these ghost workers? Are they the permanent ones? Are they the contract ones? Are they the casual ones? And I want to agree with Dr. before we continue to answer that question, that we need to question the legality of our systems when it comes to maybe employment. And there is this board called the Integrated Personnel and Payroll Database, IPPD, which is borrowed from the national government. And I believe county government should have borrowed the employment system from the Public Service Board, right? So we need to ask ourselves, if they have the Integrated Personnel and Payroll Database, is it working, or is it just something that is not even known by the governors? And maybe, Daktari, it's as if we want to blame the County Service Board, right? But also, I feel we can also blame the Senate, which is our role, is to oversight counties. Have they made sure that the counties, because they knew employment, every governor who comes want to bring some people. Even now, I feel more people are going to be employed by the counties. Okay. So I think also we should blame the county. What has it been doing for all this time? Because their work is to oversight counties. And maybe the last thing to mention is regarding the Public Service Board versus the County Service Board. Sure. Are they relating? Is the national government helping the counties to be able to manage because they're the one who's giving money? Sure, sure.
Just before I bring Dr. to comment on those particular aspects, just giving you some small statistics here of actually what we are talking about. We are looking at the county of Migori, and in the county of Migori, the audit report shows that 46 ghost workers were found, and in this particular case, the county was losing 2.7 million Kenya shillings monthly. 2.7 million Kenya shillings monthly. Then we go to the county of Vihiga, that is in Western, and 2.1 million was lost to 48 ghost workers, hoping 2.8 million. And in this particular case, actually, there were no personal files found, there were no workstations, and therefore we are wondering where was this money going to. Then we go to the county of Machakos. There it was found that there were 37 ghost workers, and we also saw the new governor of Kisii saying that a total of 861 ghost workers were also found in the county of Kisii. Talking about oversight, and at one particular point, Mheshimiwa, you are in the County Assembly of Nakuru. Would you really say that as members of the County Assembly and also your seniors in the Senate slept on their job?
I want first of all to say, Akagi, I didn't blame the county public service boards. What I said was this. What I know, county public service boards operate very professionally. Okay. And they are guided by the law, County Government Act, all these kind of laws, and they are oversighted by Public Service Commission. Not oversight, they work together with. So what I said was this, that if you ask the county public service boards, 47 of them, from 2013, how many people have you hired professionally? Okay? They are going to give a number.
Okay.
Check that against what is there. Then find out the difference. So now, who put them there will be known. Because definitely, there must be somebody.
And according to the County Public Service Board, it is not them who put them.
Thank you. Now, I want you to understand that. That's very important. So that then you discover who then authorized. The question now will be coming to who then authorized.
Who then authorized?
These are the
and
people.
Who also is in a position
Yes.
to get.
And the person who authorized, were they authorized to authorize? Then, so that they can be put in IPPD. Because the IPPD captures all the staff.
Okay.
Okay.
It's the remuneration, it's like the preparation of the payroll. So it is only, there has to be a lot of process forward by the time somebody enters to a IPPD. That's what we call the payroll in a layman's language. So my question was quickly, then what happens? Who determines that, what you're asking about oversight? Then the first question is, for example, Auditor General is the first call for oversight. You come and say, I cannot see how these people got into the payroll.
Yeah.
Now, quickly, the person who is supposed to follow up with that, of course, is the Senate. Is the Senate. Look, it's the Senate. Now, I gather today, they have been summoned. They have been asked to give reports, especially those counties which have been flagged off. Yeah. So we expect, therefore, and that's what we are saying. Senate, when you call these people, what happens? That's the question you should be asking. When you call these people, because remember, Auditor General report is an official report. So now it's the senators to tell us, you are the ones who oversight counties. So what happened and which actions are you going to take? By which time?
Because the client is someone who is listening to you, and they are arguing that the buck stops with the governor. So what is the role of the governor in as far as this is concerned? What is it that they're supposed to do? Is it that their hands are tied? Because as we've said, they get those audit reports, but it seems like they are unable to seal these loopholes.
You know, we want to be very candid here. It's very simple. You know, the governor is the CEO of the country, just like the president is the CEO of the country. If it is found that there are people who got into the payroll within your term, you are there, then you'll be asked, what did you do? And I'm happy with the way it is going, because Senate have asked the current governors to file a report. Then when they file a report, of course, if you are the current governor and you found the situation and you are not there then, because they are going to ask their former governor to appear and answer those questions. What happened? Because there is a lot of issues. What I'm talking, and the beauty about when we do analysis giving somebody an answer. Why? You know, we want to give analysis. For me, I'll say this. What I think has been happening. There's some governors who come in, they don't want to follow the law in getting people into because either they are not qualified or they are their relatives or something, you know. So you see, for the board, they will tell you, no, please, sir, you want this subject to get to the payroll, but they are not qualified. They don't have a Form 4. They don't have a degree, for example. Then maybe some things happen and they get in there. So because of the political, you know, then the new governor comes. They are like, they don't want to sack these people because they're going to have political implications because they want to be re-elected. So we are playing politics into something very important called HR. And I want to say this because we have to get things right, and right very well. If we miss these issues about governance and devolution these few times here, it's going to affect us in the future. Now, that is why, just to let our view understand, that's what happens. But now, is it right? No. What is happening is, and to answer your question quickly, there are three types of workers in the country. PNP, permanent and pensionable. You retire at 60. Then there are cashews, those who are paid after every 3 months. Then there are those contracts. After 2 years, most of the nurses in Nakuru right now, in other parts of the country are on contract. 2 years contract renewable. Then there are those who are cashews, and then PNP are what I call permanent and pensionable. Those are the three classes. Now, most of those people, most of the ghosts have found their way into the core of permanent and pensionable.
Yeah. Before we continue, Mangicho, we need to understand, because of the sake of the viewer, when you're talking about these ghost workers, are we talking about people who have been employed illegally, or we are talking about people who are employed but they are not there?
There are two ways of looking at ghost. You know, first of all, if you define a ghost, you have to be very careful about definition of a ghost.
It's an amorphous being.
You know, there are two ways. There are people who never qualified, but they found themselves in the payroll. They never followed the front door, like Jesus said, they went through the window or something. Now, then...
So those are working in the county?
They are working the county, but
illegally
in the payroll.
But illegally.
They never followed the main door. Now, there are those ghosts. Now, a ghost, you must be very careful. And that's why I was saying, if you want to catch a ghost, be very careful because, you know, a ghost is a ghost. It's a spirit, you know, it's not there. So these are people who put people like names, fictitious names. So there's somebody at the end of the day collecting the money, pocketing the money. Okay? You put people in the payroll, quite a number, and you give them job groups and all that, but they're not there. They cannot be found, you know? They cannot be there. You know, an example of Kisii, you know? When we are told just, can you come just with everything and let's see. And they say they found quite a number. So those are the ones. And so there's somebody who understands the system and picks that money, one or another. So those are the two categories of.
Yeah. Because, Dr. you said that, okay, we know the Senate will begin the grilling of maybe the current governors and even maybe the former governors. But we have a history in this particular country where we see some of these sessions take place. The grilling takes place, they are asked questions, the Senate finds its report, but then nothing is seen to be done, no action is seen to be taken. So how are things going to be different, even as we focus on this particular grilling this time around?
Now, you're asking a good question about governance. That's a question on leadership. And I want to suggest this. Everything rises and falls on leadership. Because people go to Senate, there's a former governor who cried for it on TV, and he said what happens in Senate. At the end of the day, it's painful. Because he said, no, we normally called, but at the end of the day, somebody is looking for an envelope. It's sad. What happens? Everything goes to normal. Another audit report will come out after 2 years. You know, and they are going to sound, you know, they are going to hit the tables and say, look, we cannot allow this to happen. The senators, you know, this is very sad. Then can you come?
And they look very tough.
Then they'll come. The questioning will be very tough on TV.
Yes.
But immediately, somebody will say, no, somebody will see you out, will walk you out. You see, though that is a tragedy of this nation, that's the problem of leadership. And that's why I'm appealing, and I urge, we have a new government from the top, and these things rises from the top. And I can tell you this, when there is political goodwill to fix the country, it will be fixed.
What do you mean when you're talking about looking at the leadership from the top? You're looking at the national executive?
I'm looking at the national, because at the end of the day, this money, listen, this is taxpayers' money that goes all the way to Nairobi. Then the national government appropriates the money. So at the end of the day, the head of state has a responsibility to make sure that if there's that 5 billion which is going to the long hands, that the money is secured. So political goodwill, just that. So that, please, can you answer? Just answer nicely what happened. And if it's found for real, that you authorized or you watched by, as people are getting into payroll illegally, can you answer to it? Can you be surcharged? So that tomorrow, somebody else doesn't do the same. Look here, we are going to
So for governors, maybe who might be found culpable after this particular grilling, what is it that they would have done or maybe not have done to be found culpable?
If I'm getting your question well, you see, it's very simple. It's very simple. The buck stops with you. You cannot say I didn't know. No. You cannot say that I didn't know. Because it is you who is the president or the CEO of the county. You should know systems the way they are working. HR is one of the key functions of the governor, of course. So my question would be, strengthen the County Public Service Board. Let them be the only people who recommend people to be added in the payroll, the people who have been competitively sourced. Okay? That is what should happen. But these other methods of giving some other people below you some powers to do letters, issue letters to the payroll and ask them to employ people, that is what ails this county. So what should be done? Follow the path. Everybody coming to the county to be employed, let them pass through the main door. Okay?
Because there have also been allegations, Kagi, and maybe you'll also contribute on this, that maybe the governors in one way or another, they have the power to influence who is maybe going to come and work in the county government.
I want to say this just for record.
Yes.
Even the governor has no powers to hire. If governor wants to hire people, they write, the respective officer writes to the County Public Service Board so that there is competitive advertisements are done. Now, if you take upon yourself powers to say you hire, I mean, there is separation of powers, a bit of it. It's not, we are not in the municipal council. So just to keep it clear, the governor is allowed to hire, but hire through the public service board, so that there's competitive whatever, recruitment and all that. That's how it should be. I'm just putting it very clear. So, but if there are other people with some powers who now control these other things, the governor is the head of the county. They should be able to be aware. They should be able to be aware that this is happening and stop it.
So how do we strengthen the county public service board, Daktari? Because it seems they are also very critical in the way this particular issue is looked at, and maybe even some of the loopholes that we are seeing. It's like they are contributing a lot as far as the failure.
But Paul, I will say this because this is important. If you got what I said, Magisha, this is very important. Let me repeat it again. If there are people, if there are boards, and I want to suggest to you this way, because of course they're going to do their own investigations. Because one of the things they're going to check is functionality of the boards.
Yeah. Okay.
But let me say this: there are no two ways. The board operates under the law, and I said again. Mongijo, please, the boards will come and say, this is the people we hired, right?
Yes.
Then counter-check with the people who are being paid. So if you hear what I'm saying is that there are other people here who are interfering with the payroll.
A network of cartels of some sort?
Because the board knows the repercussions of being used politically. They know the repercussions because you can go to jail very fast before you know. Yes. Because you'll be held individually responsible. Individually responsible. If as a member of the board you sign a minutes saying so and so to be put there and they are not qualified, you will know that going to jail is very fast. So you run away from that. But there are people who maybe don't fear jail so much. Now in the middle here, there are people, and I want to say this categorically, that, and it's so sad because if you look at the wage bill of the counties every year, it's increasing. Yes. But the money from the treasury is not as much. And the money for development is waiting. And remember, the law says you must pay salaries first. So what will happen in another 10 years if we continue this way? Yes. Everybody will be hired by the county government, illegally or not, and then there will be no money for development. Okay. So it's a big problem. Actually, it's a one big thing.
I think also the issue of governance. I think right now we have come from the elections. Yeah. The governors want to be very keen because maybe it's their payback time. They need to pay back their buddies who help them in the campaigns, and pushing for employment.
And that's where the pain comes. And that's the problem with this wage bill issue in the counties. Because, unfortunately, the governors who come in, and it's good to say, because I said it's good to say where the problem comes. You want to, show that, you have the powers and you can hire so many people.
Yes.
But there's no problem in hiring, so long as it's needful and you follow the procedure. Let me repeat that again. Yeah. The problem is coming and saying, look here, if you don't hire, I can hire, That's where we are talking about. And imagine the 26 new governors and the ones who came back the next time, the second round. Kindly, it's good to do something for prosperity. You don't need to do something that will catch up with you tomorrow. Just do this for prosperity. You're here for only 4 years. The governors will be there for 4 years. Just do something for prosperity and leave it. There's nothing wrong with the governors hiring. Okay. But please hire according to the law following the county public service.
And Daktari, you had mentioned, and maybe you can actually help us to bring this into perspective, that when we see scenarios like this and the danger they pose to the entire issue of devolution, what is it that is really awaiting? What are some of the threats that are actually facing devolution if something like this one is actually not fixed?
I can tell you, this is a major issue. The issue of wage bill is a big issue in the counties. Of course, what we need to see more in the counties is the issue of the systems and structures. I've always said many times, if you want the easiest life as senior managers of the counties and the national government, put up systems and structures, let them work. You'll also rest easy. But the moment you don't fix them, you'll always be running to do things in an orthodox way. You'll always be trying to fix what you didn't fix. You'll always be running around to do crisis management. Fix systems. Let things run. It's God who gives you opportunity to be there for that time. Create systems that will outlive you. But this issue of not having, for example, one of the systems is, for example, procurement, the issue of collection of revenue. The other system is about now the wage bill, the issues of wage, human resource management. Put systems and structures that are going to work. That's what is going to help the county government. Others is a big threat, and I'm happy that now The issue of devolution is directly under the presidency. Under the docket of the deputy president. There is no issue about a minister of devolution. No, nothing direct. And let me tell you, the president, the way I know him, he is going to lean on this matter. Because definitely, if you don't check the issue of wage bill, the issue of this kind of systems, is going to affect the entire management of the finances in Kenya. So we are very hopeful. Remember.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Between 1 and 44, how many 4s are there in between?
That's a pause. The question is an answer to ask the question.
Things we should be talking about, Mongicho. We should be talking about more progressive issues. It's sad, and as a Kenyan leader, I feel so sad. On behalf of the people of Kenya, I feel so sad. Let me tell you the truth. I feel so sad. There are people who wake up in the morning, to go and sell mangoes. Sell mangoes to pay tax, you know, and then to be able to pay fees and buy food. Okay, so when they hear this, it's not fair.
Okay, Daktari, we want to take a short break at this particular point, and then we are coming back with plenty more. You're still watching the Mid-Morning Pack right here on MBCI TV. Thank you for continuing to be with us.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Between 1 and 44, how many 4s are there in between?
That's a pause. The question is an answer to ask the question. That's the light by the to make our country be action.
Between 1 and 44, how many 4s are there?
43.
What is the square root of 3?
The square root of 3 is 9. Get out. The square root of 3 is 9. Come on here,
go. Kipakatalishi.
Kipatanichi. Kipatanichi. Kiparashinishi. Kiparashinishi. Kuna matache sunange mutange wasara wasara.
Aye, kore manga Jesu sara sata. What? Aye, kore manga Jesu sara sata.
Maidori mature kwa mundu ya mukwiho niguo wikaga uguo niguo wikaga kurathima andu aku turaire na ruo ruingi minyamaro na kiangai ni waturokera. Bwana asifiwe. Huyu ni Njeru Thiga, na kama ungependa wimbo huu uje kwenye simu yako kama skiza, unabonyeza *811 *406 hash. Unabonyeza *811 *406 hash. Si Bwana atakubariki. Wow.
Are you looking for a reliable retail and wholesale hardware store that is able to deliver quality and affordable products at your site? Shirdi Trading Stores Limited has been your hardware of choice for more than 10 years, serving the people of Nakuru with excellence and quality products. Our products include all kinds of chuma, hollow sections, black pipe, furniture pipe, round bar, square bar, deformed bars, MS plates, checkered plates, galvanized plates, H-beams, flat angles, roofing sheets, marine boards, among many more. We also sell cement, tanks of all sizes, barbed wires, chain links, etc. at the most affordable prices. We organize delivery countrywide. Our main shop is located at Nakuru Kisumu Highway Shabab Roundabout, opposite Total Petrol Station, while the distribution center and godown is located at Industrial Area opposite Kenya Power Depot. Call us on 0711 600 101, or you can use 0735 600 101 or 0701 600 101.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Welcome back to the Mid-Morning Park Show, our dear viewer, right here on MBCI TV. This is where we unpack some of the critical subjects in the society and also nationally and even in our counties. Mangicho Mola, and I'm also having Paul Kagi on board. And you're also being joined by Dr. Peter Mbai, a consultant in matters of leadership and also governance. And our second area of discussion was on some of the key policies, Kagi, that we've already seen President Ruto actually coming up with, and there are those that were started, those that were put up by his predecessor, that is former President Uhuru Kenyatta, and maybe it's quite a number of people maybe in the county are wondering why is it that maybe the president has actually undone some of these policies, and is it maybe a question of maybe what is it a question of maybe how unpopular they were or how maybe ineffective they were, or is it maybe because he wants maybe to do something that is new? And maybe probably you can comment on that before we bring Daktari to also tackle the same.
Very well. I think it's true there has been some of the policies done by the previous president which has been retracted by the current president. Maybe through his own wisdom, he felt that it's as if what was done by Kenyatta was not quite in order. And I think it's okay if he feels it is not going to work well for the country. I have no problem. Okay. But I have one problem with what is happening, because I feel the tracking of these policies are going through the avenue of what they are calling the executive orders. Okay. And Kenyans are not used to executive orders. But if you go to countries like US, they are very common. It's as if you've got, I think the president is mostly trying to read the script from US, whereby when the new president comes, he comes with a lot of executive orders. Okay. I think President Ruto has done a lot of executive orders. The first time I really saw the impact of executive order was when the Kanu regime was swept by the Kibaki. When he gave an executive order to regain back the KICC. My worry is, if we are not careful, right, these executive orders might overrule the constitution.
They might overrule the constitution. and some of the things that if I can just mention just but a few, you're talking about the appointment of the 6 judges immediately upon the swearing in of President Ruto. You're talking about reverting of port operations and cargo clearance to the port of Mombasa. You're talking about scrapping of UNGA subsidies put up by former president. We're also talking about disbandment of SSU, scrapping of Kazi Mtaani. Daktari, is it really possible that former president got all these things wrong?
That's a good question. Please, I want to come, Kagi. You know, it's not, I don't think, and we are talking here because there's one thing we agreed. That's a principle here. That we agreed once we pray God for elections and he gives us leaders, we support them. That's one thing we agreed in principle. Sure. But then we agreed also, because it's important to restate that, we also agreed we also need people to check the government, both county and national, because you have to check, and we say we are going to check. One, the opposition, for example, in the national government, but also the media, the civil society, the church. We agreed, everybody, even a common mwananchi. That's why we are told, if you feel dissatisfied with what is happening, you can go to court and stop an action, right? So all that is agreeable. It's good to have the foundation. Now, having said that, let's go back to supporting government. It is to say, we are praying for you, but we also, when we see something that's not right, we can mention it out. That is very important. That's the role of the citizens. So, first of all, I'll go back 1 minute and say what I started by saying. Normally, when a government is elected, there's what is the structure of governance, because that's where you get it right. And you said, for example, starting with the national government, there's in place right now CSS. PSs are going to be, they're being vetted by Parliament. Maybe CASs are going to come up. Very soon, you're going to have ambassadors appointed. Then you're going to have what we call the chairman of the parastatals.
You're talking about the CASs, which is actually not legal.
Now, as we speak today, the update I want to give you, Magicho, is that the court dismissed that issue, and the CAS's process is continuing. Just an update. That's what is happening right now. So, because there are 2 issues in the court. The LSK was raising issues saying...
Don't you think it can be taken to a higher court?
No, not yet. No, nothing. It's over. So the process is going. Actually, any time they're going to release the names. Shortlist the names. I'm just telling you, because I didn't want to raise a count of homes. I was answering my question. Let me answer my question. What happened? There was the issue of public participation and the fact that they didn't go through the PSC. Remember? So those two issues were sorted this time around. I'm just telling you what is in the public domain. The issues were, what the court had said in the other time is that they were just given letters, come, go, you are now a CS, right? Now, this time, the same issues were raised by LSK, and then the PSC was saying, we advertised, we asked for public opinion, and then they applied, they're going through the PSC, because it's public money. There's something called competitive recruitment. It's not appointment.
So when you look at it, even in terms of, okay, you've already said that legally there is no problem with it, but even morally,
I think information is important, and that's why even more important that these positions are there, because we need information. People need to know why.
What did you say?
Let me give you an example. Quickly. Let me give an example. We have a minister like, let me put an example like Moses Kuria, for example,
right,
who has 3 PSs. Now, every PS, trade, industry, and investment, they have programs. Okay? They have programs in all parts of the country, different parts. The same one in Kisumu, Nairobi, Nakuru, Meru, Nyeri, right? The CES reports to the minister. He's supposed to help the minister to administer the ministry. So you cannot expect the minister to be in all those places. Remember, he has 3 PSs. The CES comes to help in terms of like assisting the minister to do some things, because remember, PS is a technical person. The PS cannot be able to articulate issues. And so the way they can come here and begin talking the way I'm talking. A PS may not, because that's an accounting officer. Is a guy who is so busy from 6 to 11 at night, you know, trying to manage, you know, is a technical person back, what you would call back room, you know. Is a guy working there. So, but Mungicho, to be able to move with the people about the programs and the policies of government, you need somebody to assist the minister. And that's why, if you saw the advert, Mungicho, the qualification for CAS is strictly, you must have an understanding of administration, but also political. Because at the end of the day, governments are voted for. It's a political system. So they are looking for somebody with an understanding of administration, but with capacity to articulate public policies, who can come here and talk and articulate issues about Hasra Fund, talk about NHIF, talk about NSSF, talk about Kazi, you know, all those Kazi Mtani, all those kind, and give explanations. Please, let Kenyans understand what CAS is about. The only problem was they were given letters. Who are you? Mungicho, come, pick a letter, you are now CAS. No, the law says it's not right, because it's public money. Can you go through the PSC? Go apply for a job like any other person, give them an opportunity, you'll be interviewed, then the president can appoint you. But I think that's where the whole issue is. But the issue, because the issue about whether we need them,
and one of the reasons maybe why quite a number of people and maybe several maybe organizations and maybe even the civil society were against maybe the CAS is maybe because of the issue of bloated government, and maybe there are so many people who thought that the Kenya Kwanza government would actually look at maybe a lean government, so as maybe even to deal with the issue of the ballooning public wage bill.
Look, let's go historical, because if you want to go to the future, you must look at the back. What happened to the Kibaki and later government? We had 42 ministers, 42, full. We had another like 60 assistant ministers, and then PSs. So when you're talking about bloated government,
so it means we are inventing the wheel.
No, we are saying, when you talk about bloated, you have to determine what is bloated. Vis-a-vis productivity and action and what the government will do. You see, what happens, if you want to know how many people you need, you look at, if I put this number X of people, what is the productivity? What are they going to do that is going to increase the GDP and everything else? Productivity. So when you're putting these people, then you put these people to help them, the productivity will be higher because you are combining everyone else there. Let people come. We have come from very far. And so to answer, I want to move. You know, that was it was an interruption from Kaji. So I was saying this, within, for example, 90 days, to be fair, you said time is relative. I want to give like 90. For example, the whole structure of government will be in place. For example, I'm just saying. Now, this is very important. There are some, before I come to these policies, there are some laws. Most of the things the president is talking about, we need laws. to go through parliament. Within that 100 days, at least, even if they will not be passed, at least they'll be in parliament. You'll have gone through, for example, the amended NHIF Act. Of course, that one passed long time ago, but maybe if there are some regulations or changes, the Hustler Fund issue, that's the money needed. And most importantly, besides the laws, the supplementary budget. There's something here which I want people to understand. The president, most of the things he is speaking about and the promises will be contained in the supplementary budget. Now, what's the supplementary budget? This is a budget that was passed by the former assembly, which he has to reorganize the money, put money here, pull there, so that it reflects his promises. Did you remember him saying by December? Yet it was in, the campaign was in June. What it meant, I'm not in control now with the money, but once I get in, I'm going to rearrange the supplementary. So those things, we are going to see, in short, we are going to see those things. However, please allow me.
No, because you've not yet answered my question.
Yes.
I asked you, did the former head of state get all these things wrong?
Good.
Yes. And even as you answer that, where is the place of the entire executive in passing some of these major decisions?
Very important.
How is it that is also being done differently this time around?
Very important. Now, this is what happens. When a new president comes, you have your own, there's a trajectory. That's why you are elected. Otherwise, if you are just elected to continue with the former, you normally elected to give yourself a chance to do things differently, or rather to run the government the way you would want. Of course, within the law. What am I saying? Did the former president get all this wrong? No. It's very simple. The former president didn't see the need to simply follow the law. And so are the judges. The new president has seen the sense to follow the law. And simple things, we are going slowly. The former president did what we call, you get those what I call political things, like short term. Take this so that I can vote for me. Take this so you are happy today. But you're not looking about 5 years. He was focused on consumption. Hold on, Mogicho. That is the issue of UNGA. I've been 14 billion within a month, right?
Yeah.
And look at that. And you are being told it will last you for 1 month. Then what happens on the 15th day, on the 16th day after the month is over, or that the first day? Now, secondly, again, consumption. Fuel. How many billions per month? But where is that money? Where is the accountability? When you say you are spending to subsidize, who knows? Where is the account? Are we sure where is that money going? Because you are told as a layman, we are spending 14 billion, 4 billion every month to subsidize fuel. Okay? But that money may be in somebody's pockets. Look at that. So the policy shift here is to say, wait a minute. Why don't we, instead of giving you subsidies, UNGA, we tighten our belt for a minute. We look for cheaper fertilizer. You go and farm. You go and farm. That is helping somebody to fish. Helping somebody to fish. You go and farm. And actually one of the policies I'm looking forward, next year, no arable land will be left idle. Go farm, because now you have cheaper fertilizer, pesticides, all this kind of seeds and all that, okay? So that farmers can be able to access it. Another policy shift, consumption again, Kazim Tan.
Okay.
I can tell you, you give government money to young people to go around with slashers, and they come at 10, they leave work at 12. Slashers. Because they know automatically there is money without actually input of work. That is a very serious dependency syndrome we are creating on our young people. So what we are saying is this. As we pay you, we want to see production.
So you're
that will contribute to climate change in terms of growing the trees. You get the point?
So you're saying that Kazim Tani was a horrible project?
It was a horrible misuse of public funds. It was ill-conceived. It was meant for politics. That's all. That's a summary. That's it. You cannot be giving.
Don't you say, and Daktari, even the president right now, what he is doing, for a fact, does not have an element of politics in it?
And in line with that, Daktari, as you talk about that, because quite a number of people would say that so many of these particular youth actually benefited maybe from this particular project, and looking at maybe the alternative that we've been given, how is it now really going to help millions of youth compared to the
very simple plan? There's a target of planting 5 billion trees, right? Yes. So we want them to work, do trees that will also contribute to climate change. Look at that. You're investing this money not to go and eat. The way you do Kazim Tan, you go pay somebody and they eat. But you are doing that, and then you are solving the problem of climate change, right? When you are doing hustler fund, you are telling somebody, no, we are not going to give you free money, the 6,000. You know, 6,000, stay at home, you know, nowhere. Even during manna time, they had to wake up and go and collect that manna. There's nothing for free. So this idea, oh, you're going to give you some 6,000. So what the president is saying, wait, please, before we talk about hustler fund, you must have a hustle. Okay. Let's start from there. You must be selling some mangoes. We are coming to help you increase capacity. The way you sell mangoes, from where? Maybe you look for somewhere, you get some money to hire, you know, some portion instead of moving around during the rain and sun. Maybe you go to a market, you go to some market stage, then you have something makeshift that can cover you. Please, the beginning point is very simple. You must have a hustle. We are not starting from a point of you go somewhere in some place and say, here we have with the hustler fund, can you line up? We give you money. No. So look at the policy shift. It's about empowering. It's about, let's start with you to make you better. Because these things are very cheap. When you do cheap things, they're not going to go far. The issue of fuel, of course, we said, let's go back.
Before you go there, I think the issue of the Hustlers Fund, the problem is not to help them to hustle. The problem was the way it was sold to the hustlers. You see, if you go to the ground, I followed that issue before election. Yes. What was the gospel that was preached to the hustle was that we are going to give you money to empower you financially. Yes. Right? Yes. And of course, you know, the issue of interest was not there. It's only now the president has changed the tune regarding the hustle. You know, people believed before.
I think I've been telling you, whenever I'm asked that question, I've been asking people to play that clip. At no point, Mogicho, did anybody say you're going to get free money? Let me ask. Not free, but what?
Untaxed.
Untaxed. Let me ask you a question. Then, if that was the case, what is the difference then between hustler fund and the 6,000 shillings that was going to be given for free? Please understand, when you say hustler fund, Kagi, it is a hustle. Let's start with the word hustle. Okay. Now, the issue about tax, and I'll give you some quick, and please allow me. If you take, for example, 10,000, let's say 100,000, you're going to pay back after the year an addition of only 9,000. Now, tell me, Mokichu, let's talk here. It's because people don't understand this thing. And I think that's why I told you, we need more public information, public communication, in a big way, to be able to elaborate these things. Because because there are so many policies, and some people like, you know, struggling to understand. We did a lot of public information. But now, let me ask you. Let me ask you, Mogicho. If you go to the market here, that woman, if she takes 100,000, you are supposed to pay back the same day, 10,000. The same day, 10%, same day. This one is 100,000. You pay back after a year, only 9,000. No, it's because people don't understand these concepts. If you go to the market, there are people, Shyrocks, they are there. If you want money, even $1 million, but you have to give me back 10% the same day. Okay. So if you look at it that way, it's going to help. So can you give? It is 1st of December. Let's give, and we said, let's give people. If the president is elected, and they said, I can do this, give him a chance to do it. Give him a chance to do what he said.
You've mentioned 1st of December. That is when?
That's when he's going to launch the Hustler Fund.
But you've not even seen some of the legislation.
Communication is going to come out in a big way. Communication, everything, and all these kind of things, and the necessary. You see, launching. Exactly. No, launching doesn't mean, you know, the programs and the details of how it's going to run. Okay. So let me go back to the basic.
But before you go back to the basics, Daktari, I think this is a very important question, and it's a very important point because the way you put it, some of these policies that were actually put up, they were wrong, and maybe they were of no benefit to most of the Kenyans. Now, how do we therefore solve these particular issues, even as we go into the future? A situation whereby we avoid the executive, in this particular case, maybe the president, passing some of these directives, maybe alone.
That's important. I think now you have gotten into the mood of Kagi. We're talking about the danger of. Now that's important also. Yes. Now you will discover this. We are a presidential system where presidents are allowed to do some things. The good thing about Kagi, he mentioned about he has never seen executive orders, but he gave a good example of KACC. That is Kibaki. Uhuru did a lot of executive orders, both in 2013 and 2017, after he was elected, and in the middle of the term. So what the President Ruto is doing is simply to continue to give. Please understand, he is giving executive orders only on issues within the purview of administration change. Okay. Restructuring, let me put it that way. Restructuring of government. You know, you add state departments here and there, you create the position of the super cabinet secretary, you say it is in the law about judiciary fund, you do it there. It's an executive order in accordance with the existing law. Please. Now, you ask a good question. You will see some of these things, for example, they will need a cabinet memo. Then passing in the cabinet. That's why he was in a hurry to release the names of the CSs. What I expect in the next 2 or 3 cabinet meetings, for example, the ministers were told, go back quickly. Whatever issues to do with your ministry that cannot go on without passing through cabinet, you're going to see them there. Some of these, why, for example, you have not seen the laws in parliament? Because some of these laws need to be passed in cabinet, right? All those laws, so all these issues concerning now the Agenda 4, the issues of housing, the issues of agro-processing, the issues of water, the issues of to deal with drought and all those kind of things. Then you're going to see those things come into cabinet. They will be passed by cabinet as laws and be sent to parliament. So yes, there's a place for direct executive orders. You know, things like killing CSE, the special unit in the CID, things like all those are simple administrative issues. Things like moving the port of Mombasa. Those are things within the purview of the law. Let me put it that way, generally.
So it is what you can call it is upon the president to decide what is it that he believes maybe is good for the particular country, and no one is in a position, or maybe no one is supposed maybe to question how the particular directive is going maybe to impact on the country.
Let me repeat this. I said this. There are those issues which fall purely within what I would call readjustment, restructuring of government. Yeah. That's what I said. But even him, he knows, and that's why not everything you have seen. There are others that needs the cabinet, right? There are others that need passing in parliament. For example, like Japheth Koome is in parliament. Why didn't the president wake up one day and say, I've appointed you? Because he knows the law. He follows the law. Look, why is it that he would have wanted the PSS working even last week, even before he went to Egypt? But he had to wait for the process to continue. So yes, what you are seeing is within the administrative, because he has advisors. Sure. Look here, and he has shown to abide by the rule of law. So you're going to see that there is what can be done, there's what that needs cabinet memos and cabinet approval, those that needs a parliamentary approval, and that is it. So in what we said, if somebody goes and says, I'm believing God, I want to be president, he swears by the Bible, give them a chance to do it. If somebody swears, I want to be governor, give them a chance to do that. This character of Kenyans, you elect someone today, then you are on him the next day. Give them chance, continue, criticizing them, giving them ideas, and by the way, before you take stones to hit on any leader, please first engage. Okay. Look for them. Well, somebody will say, I have not been able to see him, they are very busy, they don't pick, kindly do a formal communication, okay, do a letter saying, I have noted ABCD in a few days, I'm not happy. Can you change? Before you go to cause trouble and cause conflicts which are not necessary. Kindly engage. Show us evidence that you engaged. Because these are human beings. And there's nobody who will go spend their own time, resources, looking for a position, surely, who have no idea at all what to do. Surely. So, they are human beings. Engage. It's like I've heard in some counties, people are rushing to court to stop cases, to stop this, to stop that, to stop issues about. The question is, okay, did you engage before you go to a point of trying to disrupt learning of government?
Fair enough, Daktari, on that particular area. What would you say to maybe a viewer who is saying, like for example, the president is quoted as saying, give me 1 year and I'll have sorted this issue about UNGA. And some Kenyans, quite a number of them, most of them actually feeling 1 year is quite too much time to wait. when they're being faced by these harsh and tough economic times. How feasible is it when you're talking about the issue of scrapping of kazi mtaani and being brought the alternative of planting trees and maybe even constructions and so on and so forth? How feasible is it? When are we likely to see the Kenyan youth beginning to benefit from this?
I think I said one to answer your question.
Yeah.
When the president says, I'm not going to give you quick fixes. I'm not going to give you borrow money from wherever to come and subsidize unga to please you. And it's not sustainable.
Do you think the issue of Kenyans' basic needs like food is actually an emergency? Can it really wait for 1 year?
There are two ways of looking at it.
Okay.
You can do the Uhuru Kenyatta government style. Go look for unga for 1 month, then kill it, the subsidy. Or you can come and tell people, and please, I want this understanding. Something called a value chain. It's a chain. If you want results here, it has to go through this chain, then bring the results. If we can understand that, we'll be happy. We don't want to, the president doesn't want to promise people through this short lane, you're going to come do what and then have maize and by January, the unga will be down. We are saying, give it a whole value chain. Give it a whole season. How? With the 6 million bags, for example, that will be available from January and all that for the major planting season, what will happen, the production will be so much that automatically the prices of unga will fall down. It has to be sustainable, Mongicho, please. And I think what we have to agree is whether we want quick fixes, which are not sustainable, or we want something which is sustainable. So to answer your question, of course, there is that thing of, tightening belts a bit so that we can be happy for many years. Instead of the subsidizing here is not sustainable. So by saying 1 year, he meant there's going to be a whole season, a whole cycle of production. Remember the word is production. And remember, Kagi is very easy to do consumption, very easy. But production, it is you hit and then you wait for the results. So why he spoke about 1 year, to my understanding, is a season. The season of crop production will have gone through full cycle. And that's what, so yes, it's possible. You ask about the issue of the planting trees and all that. Again, looking at the future, it's 15 billion trees by 2030. I mean 2027. That's about 10 years, That's 10 years. 2032 rather. 10 years. Break it down. 5 years, the first 5 years, 5 billion. Now, if we can do 5 billion, we'll not only give guys, we'll be paying young people to do trees. Of course, there's going to be mapping the whole country, where and all that. And actually, we want to start with our homes. The policy from the president should be saying, excuse me, if you have wherever you live, for whatever you live, if it's your place, if it's a landlord, if you own that plot, can you put trees at the corner,
Yes.
Start from home, start from the churches, public institutions. Get the young people, the kids, get the kids to do trees before you go to the forest. If the policy comes from the top, political goodwill again is going to be done. It's going to be done. It's very simple. Okay. And of course, we want to start with, for example, this issue of drought and all that.
So the youth will be paid to plant the trees and also to take care of the trees?
And to take care of the trees. And by the way, we are starting from home. We are starting from where you live, go to the public institutions, schools, hospitals, all those kind of things, then go to the forest and every other place where a tree can be planted. Look at the production thing. You input here, but within 5 years, you'll have the trees. You have the young people having jobs and all that. And then these young people, that money, they will go to a circle and they will save it. And the government will add. It's a whole cycle. Everybody is happy.
Yeah, I want to mention about the issue.
Okay, maybe you can shift to the last question before we move to the
which is very
okay,
planting the trees. Yeah. But now when it comes to the, planting the trees from our homes, I think the ministry which is concerned or the government need to do a thorough research because when I go even to the farm, is that you see there are some trees we cannot plant in our farms.
Yes.
That is where the problem is. If you ask many farmers, they go to the forestry department to look for trees. They have a specification, the kind of trees they want to take to their homes. I think if we don't check there, we are going to lose everything, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's why you have a whole ministry. We have a whole PS. We have a whole research department, and we are encouraging people so that it makes sense to the farmer, especially homes. Do fruit trees.
Again, Daktari.
Do fruit trees, but you must know where you are doing the tree. You can't say you love mango so much.
Last time when I went to somewhere just to check whether I can get trees from the forestry, let me tell you, it is a whole process. You see, To get a tree from the department is a huge process. Hey, where do you come from? Get us a letter from who? From who? To be able to access trees, you know?
No, I need to know.
Those policies.
No, you are right. I mean, first of all, we are talking about seedlings. I mean, they have to be available.
Yeah.
The seedlings have to be available. And for farmers, for people with homes, I mean, I want to do a fruit tree, which must work for me. So all this information, it needs to come before, of course, the planting season, so people can be aware.
Wow. We want now to get into the final subject of our discussion. Remember, you're still watching the Mid-Morning Pack right here on MBCI TV. So much for the restructuring of President Ruto's administration, and also earlier on of counties and ghost workers. And right now, something that has also elicited mixed reactions is the outburst by Fafi MP on changing of presidential term limits. Daktari, are we testing some waters here, or is it just a rogue MP seeking publicity stunt?
I mean, first of all, it's very sad. I want to say this as one of the leaders of this nation. First, it was improper. It was unnecessary. It was a big distractor. It was ill-conceived, and simply an indication of a leader who ought to know better, trying to exercise.
But I have heard people say that
to become
we've seen previously members of parliament or leaders who came with similar outbursts, only for those outbursts actually to be affected.
This is not Kuria Kanyinge's time or Mwenches. No, we need to be very serious. I mean, surely, Mumicho, we are in a very serious season or time in this season. We are in 21st century. Okay, number one.
This dispensation.
Yeah, 21st century, number one. Number two, Kenya is in a very precarious position. We cannot afford to joke. You know, surely. You know, me, that's all I can say. Let's avoid the joke. Because that's a bad joke.
You're looking at him as a joker?
A stale one. A stale joke. Not just...
You think that he just woke up and just thought about this particular thing and just...
Sorry to say this.
Did he discuss with a few people?
I have a lot of respect because he's an elected leader, and we said we have to respect leaders. But...
And actually, a leader in the...
Yeah, you know, but maybe because he doesn't know how things work and he wants popularity, he wants to, you know, just to be known. You know, you just go and throw something. You know, the way a banter, you know, you can be talking something over tea, like a banter. Oh, by the way, you know, of course the talk was there. Remember? The talk was there, you know, especially from Azimio, that the way we see Ruto, this guy is so sharp that this man, the moment he gets power, he will not leave it. Yeah. There was that talk, you know, and people are being warned. If you give this guy power, evil. He goes with it forever. For 20 years, 30 years. So the talk was there. So maybe these guys were having this talk, you know, you can see how the president is doing things. Maybe, and then he decided to take it seriously and go and address a rally with it. That's a joke.
Is it really possible?
Listen, Doctor,
is it really possible?
It's okay.
Is it really?
I think what Dr. is okay. But I want to look at it in the other perspective. This is a lawmaker. Right?
In the ruling...
whether it is in the ruling party, but he's a member of parliament, he's a legislator, a lawmaker.
Coming from the ruling party.
Yes. By his right, he can propose laws to be passed in parliament, right? So I feel the UDA top brace, according to the way I see, maybe it was not well communicated, but I feel maybe it was there, right? But again, I was shocked because the Cherargei, the Nandi senator, you know, he tweeted and said that if this bill is going to come in the Senate, I will be the first person to vote in for that. I was really shocked. If a person of that caliber in UDA can be able to support...
So that means that even if I'm hearing Kagi well, in as much as you are strongly opposing it...
He has a right to propose for a change.
It is something that might be of interest and might really attract...
I want first of all to be told whether that Cherargei tweet is original or fake. Or, you know, somebody went and, you know, these days you cannot believe these things you see on social media, right? Because it will go a long way and just to discover 2 days later.
Was it from his verified account?
No,
yes.
You see, what you call verified account, I mean, not what Kagi thinks is verified account. So let's stop that discussion. Let me say this. You see, assuming there was a plot, you know, assuming somebody is thinking that way within Kenya Kwanza, their timing is not this, assuming. So it's going to be very realistic and national.
Haven't you heard of Mapema and Your Best?
No, this is not what happens. This is actually, the moment you do this time, you kill it. Because look here, no, hold on a minute. Kenyans are pained right now, okay? Everybody is crying about economic recovery. Everybody is crying about fuel. We are told to just hold on a minute, wait about the food of the prices of food to come up within a year. Wait a bit about this. Everybody is being told it's not nice. Everything is difficult. This is even if it was so. You don't bring such a thing here because you kill it before you start.
Okay, Daktari,
Okay,
Daktari. We will come back and look at maybe what could have informed this particular MP's thoughts and maybe views, and also maybe even what triggered him to make this particular statement. But looking now back at what the people who actually came up, the expertise and the experts during the making of our constitution, the 2010 constitution, what was the wisdom behind having the president actually just going for 2 terms?
Very simple. We checked many things. And in the wisdom of Kenyans, borrowing from many places, in Africa, in America, in other places. Actually, America is 4-4. It's 8 years, actually. Then Kenyans found fit to say 10 years. Because surely, whatever idea you have, if you can't do it in 10 years, you will never. Most likely, you can never do. You begin agitating. Your ideas, other generation will come with better ideas.
But some people think the first 5 years is actually fixing the
that's why there
problem.
Let me tell you. No, you can chew the cat as you climb the stairs. You fix the problems as you lay your own foundation. Put it that way. If there are problems to be fixed, it's not everywhere there are problems to be fixed. But if there are problems to be fixed, you try to fix that quickly as you lay your own foundation and get at least, let me put it this way, you get to at least 40% within the first 5 years. Then you are given another. If people now say, wow, we like your foundation, we like what you have done, we can give you another, then you come and move up to 99% and 80%. You leave the country into goods. And remember, you are not there like Cain to come and finish all the problems. No, you cannot.
Yes.
You are here also, even if you are 10 years. You are not meant to come and finish all the problems of Kenya. You are meant to come and give what I call make your contribution to the nation.
So what is the danger of maybe going beyond the 10 years?
You see, let me tell you one of the dangers. You begin boring people. You begin regurgitating ideas.
How is that possible? If you can come up with very good ideas, you are implementing them well, you are actually fixing the problems of the country. How is it possible that after 10 years, you begin to bore people?
As he answers that, how about Daktari?
They
have done a research.
Yeah.
They have done their own research, and then they have seen, even though it is in a constitution that it should be 5 years, 2 terms limit, that they have seen that for one to be able to achieve well his agenda revolving the country, they need more than 2 terms.
No.
And people have given an example of the late former President Mwai Kibaki that if only would have been given maybe another term, that is after 2012, maybe things would have been much, much better in this particular country.
We want people to understand something about leadership. You are never meant to come and finish the problem for the people. Whether you are MCA or MP or governor. Please, you are meant to come and infuse your ideas to the whole journey about a country or a county. And let me read this again for record. Mungicho, if in 10 years, you cannot be able to put on the table your ideas. Sorry, you cannot. And I'm saying that without all respect to our neighbors in the East African country. Yeah. It is wrong. Give other people a chance. I mean, look here. What were you seeking the leadership for? So that you can own it? So you can make it your own property? No. You are coming to give your input. After that, you can serve the country in other ways. You know, let's understand. This fear of, now, where will I go after this? No. From a governor, you can go become a deputy president or a CS or something else. You can become an ambassador. Yeah. From a president, look at what Uhuru is doing. Yeah. Very nice.
Sure.
He is doing a lot of other things.
Even some people are still mistaking him for being the president.
Look at Raila Odinga. He is a AU infrastructure advisor. There are so many other things to do. So long as you do your job well, who is mistaken to be the president? I mean, but by the way, do you know people are surprised by the magnanimity of President Ruto to Uhuru? People are surprised. And that's how it should be, because there's no enmity. It's only that your term ended, somebody has to come, but you are a leader of this country. And that's what we are saying. People should not fear to quit. Because there's always something else you can do. There's always something else you can do. I think that's what is important.
Daktari, maybe Mangicho, to a case study of Rwanda. Do you think Kagame has really propelled that country for his longevity in leadership?
Let me say this again and again and again. Once you make countries to be monarchies or whatever, you kill something. You may think you are doing very well, but I will surprise you. There are other people with good ideas more than yours who can come and do it better. And I'll tell you, the end of such things are not always the best. The end, I will say this, the end is not always the best. When you hold and say it is you and your family and all other, you go on and on, it's not the best. Fine, you'll scare people with the massacre, 1984. You'll scare people with the issues that happened in Uganda, Idi Amin. And that's why by those nations, they fear. Okay, fine, if you say so. If you say that if you leave, you go, we'll go back to Idi Amin, fine. Don't rule people with fear.
So in this particular case, our democracy is actually
very mature and doing very well.
Maybe looking at other democracies, like maybe in the US, maybe people would say people like former President Barack Obama.
Look at
finished
Tanzania.
his term and went away. We had Jakaya Kikwete in Tanzania.
That is the point. Look at that. The only excess is South Africa. South Africa, they are very tough. You are president and they don't allow you to finish your term. The party calls you. I mean, they should allow somebody to finish their term. But Jacob Zuma didn't finish. This other one, Thabo Mbeki didn't finish. So they should just relax a bit. So yes, we are doing very well, and we should safeguard the democracy.
So, and Daktari, now looking at this particular issue, because if it's actually even finding itself in the headlines, and Kenyans are even wondering why should even be talking about something like this, what needs to be done for maybe someone, an elected leader like this, coming up with something that maybe would distract the country?
Thank you very much. The distraction is a word, because we are so busy doing many things, disturbed. Even the president himself has so much in his head, and people are
and
waiting.
like right now this is what people are paying attention to. Everybody is commenting on this.
No, this man, if he's a member of the UDA, should be summoned and being warned that he should not be able to distract people.
And if he doesn't, should we read something different?
No, of course you'll be reprimanded. That's a fact. You'll be reprimanded, definitely. You cannot go talking about things and then you're including other MPs, saying we have discussed with other MPs, and it's not a position of any party or anything, and distracting people. This is unnecessary. It's an unnecessary distraction, which should not be encouraged. Should be summoned, should be reprimanded, and being told. If he doesn't have a lot to say, he can learn from the others what people say in public rallies in the village. Yeah, there are so many things to talk about in the village. You can talk about camels and water and say how you're going to do mega dams from somewhere. Please, this is unnecessary. I want to say that it should not even consume our time as well.
Sure.
Let's talk about climate change. Let's talk about things things which are more valuable to us. This is a very serious distraction.
Very serious distraction, as Daktari puts it there. Remember, you're still catching us live on MBCI TV. The program on board is the Mid-Morning Pack. You're joining us. You can join us via our social media pages. That is Facebook, that is MBCI TV, and also you can get us using our short SMS platform, that is 23814. On Facebook, I'm seeing Timothy Jenga Njogu saying, watching from Naivasha, Ihindu Market. Thank you so much, Timothy. And we're also seeing there Pasi Joram also saying, following from Nakuru. Thank you so much, Pasi Joram, also for being with us during this particular discussion. Now, maybe, Daktari, even as we near the conclusion or the end of our show to this particular hour, when you're looking at the trajectory, and I think this is something that you had mentioned, but when you're looking now at the trajectory of the economic recovery, what is your gauge as far as maybe the way maybe you're seeing the things that are being put on board?
We need to know one thing. It's very easy to mess an economy, very easy, with long policies here and there, but not as easy. It's not a switch to say we are back. So what happens is you have to put some both macro and micro policies, manage them over time, go slowly, put a dot there, add something there, push something here, you know, the kind of things you see happening in government is very calculated, by the way. With the Professor Dongo up there, with these other people, the governor of Central Bank, and all these other people in the state, you know, Duge, who has been a PS for a long time, is back here. You can see, like what Kibaki did, Ruto is trying to tap some brains that have historical, you know, that have institutional memory. They understand how things are done. And you see, economy is everything. Once you do the economy, these are the things will follow. So, so Kenyans are expecting, from slowly, you begin to see some steps. If there's commitment to do the right thing, Bongicho, definitely results will show. And that's why you see, for example, on issues on food, you know, a bit, you can see some bit of reduction just by working on the policies. The issues on fuel a bit in the next 2, 3, and then, of course, that's not a Kenyan issue. I mean, you have to deal with the international community to see how that one goes. It's a very deliberate step. We hope to see, right now you can see the exchange with the dollar, that at least it will come back to something reasonable. Because right now importers, guys who are importing stuff, they are complaining about the prices. But slowly and surely, what happens and what matters, economy respects political goodwill. The economy respects the political goodwill because it's because of the steps and the policies by the government, which is of course political, that now therefore affects. You know, like now you can see very quickly how the issue of KQ was dealt with, because it's going to be a bad thing because it hampers the image of the country. Quickly deal with it. Look here, go back, then let's continue with the case. All your issues to be handled, but you don't kill the economy under the guise that your issues needs to be handled. And of course, the political goodwill. You could see, I mean, Murkomen spent hours there. Of course, come and say, look, we are willing to listen to you. What can we do? But of course, in a sustainable way. In a sustainable way. Let me repeat this again. We don't want, and that's one thing the president has been very keen. He doesn't want to do things which are not sustainable because it will be a cost to the economy again. You're going to eat yourself up. And so the issue of KQ, for example, has to be put on the table. So yes, the issue of economic recovery, with the proper macro and micro policies, with the proper institutional memory, and with the proper political goodwill, you're going to see some changes going forward.
Talking about the issue to do with the strikes and how they can actually affect the economy, and maybe, we even had the Minister of Transport, Murkomen, saying that what they did, it's like it was a test of the maybe how they would want to see the new administration or maybe even the new cabinet secretary for transport, how he's going to respond to this. And so as we move forward, and because this is something that should actually be a concern maybe to every person and maybe even to these organizations, maybe to the civil society, what is it that maybe people need to know so that maybe in the future they can actually even avert some of these strikes that maybe we've seen, and maybe even the problem and even the chaos that they can actually bring to the economy of the nation?
One, I am not sure I saw from the verified page of Murkomen saying that they are testing the government. That is somebody else who said, you know, somebody else who said that. I'm not sure. I consume communication a lot. I'm a media practitioner as well. I saw that, but I'm not sure.
I think
I'm not sure.
We have to sort the issue.
The issue of verification of pages. But having said that, that is something we need to avoid. It's very shameful, for example, when you see lecturers, dons, serious people who have spent 20 years studying, being forced to go on strike by government, like happens in some of the universities. We need to avoid that, literally. It's good. And like I say, dialogue. If the government is willing to dialogue with the workers, there's no need for going to strike. You don't do conflict when you can do peace. You know, you do peace before you do conflict. So, and that is what I think will help all these kind of things and all that going forward. The only place we cannot encourage dialogue when it has failed is like a situation whereby the president goes to Turkana and he says, cattle rustlers, I hope you are hearing me and I know you are listening to me. Please, I tell you today, I'll use whatever means. Then before he leaves, he leaves like this, they go back and stay. Now those people are ready to say, they should be kneeling down saying, receive my spirit, oh God, because they are going to heaven, definitely. The next thing, they will go to heaven direct. Because now, you have pleaded with them, you have told them, can you change? This government will not allow cattle rustling. And you see, they are putting the president in a very bad corner because, you know, he's a resident from that area. He comes from North Rift. Then, and it is so sad. You know, maybe somebody was thinking, maybe the president didn't understand the dynamics of the forest, the former president rather. of the forest. Now, this one is, and he goes there with a message. Please stop this. We cannot have kids. And you see, in any cattle rustling, kids will be killed, right? There will be displacement. Kids will not go to school. People lose their livelihood. Right. Then they go and they steal and they kill. So those ones, there's no issue of dialogue anymore. Those ones, they are just waiting. Now the next fate with their maker.
That's very okay. And I know even Kagi will agree with me now. The cabinet is very key. Yes. The cabinet is very instrumental, even in terms of really helping the president and the entire government actually even to see the recovery of the economy and actually even to help Kenyans to be able to enjoy the fruits of this particular government. Now, what do you have to say, Daktari, as far as this particular cabinet is concerned, now that they're already in place, they've started, but there are those who think maybe that we've seen quite maybe a few who have made statements only for them maybe to be able to retract. Now, even as they begin, what do you think is their place and their role in ensuring that we really fix the matters of the economy of the country?
The cabinet is in place, like you said. Well, there are issues about people saying like, you know, you go say one thing, maybe you mean another. Those are small issues. The most important thing is that, as we speak right now, the expectation is that every CS have been meeting the senior management of the directorates and the parastatals in his ministry, or their ministries rather, and putting up, seeing what quickly can be done. The same way you saw the president do things at his level. The CA should be able to do some, structural, adjustments and looking at the people and finding out what can I rush to the cabinet quickly. What is there that needs to be done? For example, there's this issue of the CS for education, talking about funding and all that. This should not be taken out of context. And I think there's also the problem. People, either they're anxious or something. Then he comes and says, I never said there's no funding. Or what I said, and which is a fact, Mugijo, universities should not entirely depend on the government. Okay. They should also think of other ways of doing it. And
what about the Cabinet Secretary for Trade, Moses Kuria, and the issue of Mitumba?
Now, the issue of Mitumba is very clear. And by the way, if there's one thing both Raila and Ruto agreed on during the campaigns, is the issue of encouraging the local production. So he said very clear, we have no problem per se with Mitumba, but we are going to do our own production. Then Kenyans will decide. Because the issue right now is that the cost of producing a garment locally is so expensive. Mitumba comes to fill the gap because it is cheap. So we make cheap production locally. So those are the kind of things that we will see happening. I don't see a contradiction. I just see an explanation. Because like the CS education, he came up and said, I never said that. Nowhere did I say we are scrapping. Because of course, there's a lot of funding that comes with capitation at the university. But you said, universities cannot keep on crying, saying, oh, we are in this and all that. We need to find out better ways of funding and looking at that kind of thing. Those are the kind of conversation we need. And that's, like I said, we need our public information. Because Moses Kuria never meant banning. He said, we are going to make it competitive. We are going to have our own, production. That is going to be cheaper. Those are the kind of things that we want to continue seeing, a lot of communication and how this nation is going to go. Yes, we are on the right path. Yes, and we hope that the things.
And I think as we talk about the issue of helping the country to revive its economy.
Yeah, and it's already 12, Kagi, maybe just as we come to the conclusion.
Yes, is that this cabinet is operating different from what was there. The last cabinet was more of technocrats. But what informed this cabinet to be involving politicians was one thing, that the previous cabinet was more of a boardroom cabinet. This one, because of their nature, of their politicians, is to enable them to be able to understand the dynamics of the nation. Yes. Yeah, so I think if they want to revive the economy, they need to move from their office and start going all over the country to understand.
I'm being told that Kagi, there is a problem with your microphone, but Daktari, I know we are pressed for time, but I know you really want to mention maybe one line concerning the issue of climate change. Just maybe briefly, we know there is that particular conference that has been taking place in Egypt.
Yeah, that's a major issue for now, and I want to say two things on the one. First, let's start from global, from the way we do analysis. The developed nations have to stop talking. They have been committing money because of how they spoil, they have been contributing to the issues of changes of climate change a lot in developing countries. So they should compensate, that's all. Stop the talk, try to begin working on how to compensate these developing countries so that they can be able to mitigate the issues about climate change. That's simple. But how do we start? Because it's very easy to say, oh, you know, US committed. You know, we are waiting for this kind of amount of money so they can be able to help us. All those discussion is good, but can we start with planting a tree? Okay. That's all what I can say. And that's why I welcome the commitment by the president to do 5 billion trees. Let's start with planting a tree here so that in 5 years we shall be saying, because look at the destruction we are also doing ourselves. Much as we are blaming them, we are also doing destruction on our own forest. Look at the issues of conservation. Now, we prayed for rain, you know, and God heard us. But how many people are conserving water? How many people have bought jerry cans so that little water coming from the rooftops, they are conserved? Look at all the schools. If Mogicho, all the schools in Kenya can have gutters and tanks through CDF, you know, through whatever, then we are going to save, those kids will have water, the water through which they're going to water the trees in the schools. So can you also think locally, even as we appeal for funds from wherever coming from? Let me tell you what will happen. This conference will end. After it ends, everyone will stop talking. But we need to continue with the local action.
Exactly. I know Dr. will invite you and maybe in a subsequent show to look at the issue of climate change and actually put it into context, because I also know it is a very broad area that we'll be discussing. But because we are pressed for time, maybe Daktari, your final thoughts as far as our 3 areas of discussion today are concerned: the issue of ghost workers and counties, the issue of restructuring of President Ruto's administration, and also the issue of presidential term limits. Maybe in a minute.
Very quickly, one,
your parting shot.
I wish, I'm a strong believer in devolution. I wish governors all the best. For me and for all of us is to support those who are in leadership. We hope and pray that they are going to do the right thing. That's what is very important. And please, I will say again, stop disrupting people who are working. Kindly engage with them. Nobody sought a position without the intention of serving. Please engage. Don't go and begin harassing people who are working. The same thing, please, the people who are supposed to do oversight, continue doing oversight. The issue of policies within 100 days. I'm very particular from where I sit that there's going to be a very clear picture of the structure of national government having being done and a clear trajectory of the promises, how they'll be fulfilled. You know, there's one thing to say.
One thing that you are very sure about in the next 50 days as far as...
Yes, within 100 days, I can tell you the government will be in place and you have a very clear way of, oh, while you promised this is the trajectory. That's how it's going to be achieved.
What one thing that you want to assure us maybe in the next 50 days?
No, of course, like I said, the structure will be done of government. The issue of NSF, to be very clear how people are going to be and how people are going to be helped by government to save. The issue of Hazard Fund will be done. The issue of they will have started through this supplementary budget. There's going to be the funding for fertilizer, cheap inputs, the issue of trees and all that. This kind of housing also.
And of course, I know you'll be in this particular set after the lapse of those 100 days, and of course we have the record. So
our work, we support this government, and that's what we need to do for now.
Okay, thank you so much. Of course, you have to bring this to a close, but of course, very critical issues there that needs to be put into consideration.
Very true. Sure. And we want to thank you, dear viewer, for finding time to be able to watch us and to listen to us. We have really talked about various issues regarding the ghost workers, presidential term limit, and also the government policies review. And we thank you so much for finding time to be able to be together with us every Wednesday. Such a time we are here putting into perspective on various issues affecting you wherever you are. My name is Paul Kagi. See you next week.
And of course, we want to appreciate Dr. Peter Mbai, a consultant on matters leadership and governance. Thank you so much, Daktari. Always a pleasure to have you on this particular set, even as you try to help us to shed light on some of these nitty-gritties and very key areas as far as our country is concerned. Thank you so much. Thank you also so much, our dear viewer, for making time to be with us. That is where we bring it to a stop for this particular day. It's been a pleasure. My name is Mangi Chomola. On behalf of the entire crew that has made this a success, enjoy the rest of your viewing.